Alexia saw him from the top of the stairway as he broke their eye contact and walked to a side table filled with bottles of wine, brandies, whiskeys, and other alcoholic drinks. She can't help but continue to stare at her mate as he was dressed to the nines and looking so handsome even from a distance. He's truly magnificent, dear goddess. He's such a beautiful man even with that furious and infuriating expression on his face. And yes, I can imagine he must be angry right now at feeling betrayed and lied to. But sorry, not sorry, dearest mate. You didn't deserve to be told everything after you judged me so harshly at the club. The alpha's daughter shook her head as she watched him walk towards the nearest bottle of wolf wine he could find and drink it straight up, not caring for proper etiquette anymore. It took him around a quarter of a minute to demolish it before he picked up another bottle. Yes, he is pissed, but he is known for keeping his emotions in control. How come he's not able to do that now? Shall we descend, dearest wife? Asked a hated voice beside her. Until we are actually publicly married. You are not allowed to call me that. Abner, the alpha's daughter, hissed back in reply, removing her elbow from his grasp. Beloved then, he sneered as they slowly went down the stairs. That is what my father called my mother because they were mates. Since we are not any such thing and cannot be so, you will never use that term of endearment on me. Oh, Alexia, you can never tell me what I can and cannot do with you when we are finally married. Abner's ominous reply brought loathsome chills through Alex, but she kept her blank expression, denying him any kind of satisfaction. Her tone remained flat as she spoke to him as they reached the bottom of the stairs. Well, since you planned that right after I accepted your engagement proposal, I should be married to you immediately. Abner, I demand to be given the freedom to mingle and dance with the guests before you make the announcement. Cai cai cai. Ah ha 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 ha. Oh, goddess, help me. I just can't stop laughing. Ah ha 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 ha. Shut up. Lion, you are not helping. I told you I'm not helping you with this. Especially since you are angry at our mate for hiding her true identity from you. I mean, really, Maharan. Why on earth should you be furious at her now? She betrayed my trust. Why did she hide this from me? That she's actually the alpha's daughter who I'm supposed to rescue. And she asks me to speak on her behalf as a lawyer. As the representative of my pack. Why didn't she just ask me as her fucking mate? Whoa. Easy on the drink, Sem. You're already getting drunk. And so am I. What is going on with you? Are you really that affected by her hiding the truth from you? She lied to me. And that's supposed to make you angry. You've been lied to before. By clients, fellow lawyers, even pack members. And you're never this affected. Or is it because it was her who lied to you, and that's why you're overreacting now? I'm not. Overreacting. Hello. May I have this dance? The half-drunk and still livid Gamma twirled around at the sound of a female voice behind him. Yes, he did it eagerly, but then he remembered that he's supposed to be angry with her. So he kept his surly and suspicious expression on his face, as he walked towards her with almost unsteady but overly controlled steps. A dance. Like the song and dance you gave me just so I agree to what you wanted. Is that what you mean? Please put the bottle away. I really do want you to be sober when we do this mission. Mission. I think I misunderstand. A mission usually requires the participants to know all pertinent details of the set arrangements before they accept. Or you haven't watched Mission Impossible yet. Perhaps that's how your pack views missions. Slurred M as he now found himself inches away from the woman. He towered over her, and he realized that the top of her head reached only up to his jaw, and without her heels, she would probably be only up to his shoulder. However, the height difference didn't seem to matter with her as she looked up to him with an expression that made him feel she was as tall as he. Meanwhile, her voice's tone made him feel smaller than her, and it infuriated him even more. Attorney Dinar, I don't understand. What the hell are you doing? She asked in a whisper, as he plopped the already emptied wine bottle, his third, on the nearest table, startling the few guests sitting there. I'm following orders, since it seems that is all I am good for when it comes to you. A pawn that's required to follow your instructions, right? Well then, let's start with your request now. Maharan arms swiftly moved to grab hold of her right hand and waist, then expertly swayed in time to the slow tango that was now being played by the string quartet and pianist, who were nestled in one corner of the large venue. He felt her squirm a bit as he pulled her to him, her soft, curvy body pressing tight against his hard, brawny torso. And that's when he realized how much she can really affect him. So soft, so smooth, so fragrant, which made him even angrier with himself. And with her. So I guess you're so used to people following your orders just because you're the alpha's daughter. Right, Alexia? That is your name, right? which is another thing you kept from me. He gritted as he moved her towards the open space of the ballroom that's meant for dancing. I can hear the fury in your voice, Dinar, and I don't understand how you can be so angry at me for keeping my secret for later. You were going to learn on your own eventually, when you do speak out for me. He steeled himself against the emotional and physical rush that he felt as his left hand landed on the bare skin of her back, realizing too late her dress had a backless design. Meanwhile, his other hand couldn't help but feel out how soft her palm was, and how her dainty fingers seemed to fit so well into his long shapely ones. And her scent. Well, that is my problem. I didn't know that my mate and the bride-to-be are the same person, and I'm offended that you kept that from me. Not telling your lawyer any essential details about the case can cause an unsatisfactory outcome. And what would telling you about my true identity benefit you or me? Would you have believed me if I did introduce myself as the Alpha's daughter? You didn't even believe me when I told you I'm a psychiatrist. Well, you were the one who started to dance in a skimpy outfit in front of all those leering men at the bar. How on earth was I supposed to have a good impression of you when you do that? He snarled as he executed a perfect back corte with her supple body leaning into his, realizing too late. Again, that their midsections and groin were now pressed tightly against each other. Maheron swallowed hard as his already pulsing manhood pressed painfully into his pants. Meanwhile, the woman, who was also expertly following his lead, could hardly hide the fury in her blue-violet eyes, especially since she felt his arousal through her dress. Keep your voice down. Nobody here knows about that. This is exactly why I asked you to meet me there, because I'm assured that none of my father's people or Abner's pack would be there, so we could talk without fear of being seen. Now stop this. You're acting like a reckless drunk instead of the logical lawyer that you're reputed to be. You are too quick to judge me, says the man who saw only a stripper on stage when I finally showed my face to him, completely forgetting that I kicked his ass when we first met. And you still talk to me as if I'm an underling. He snapped at her, as he expertly twirled her around. Just because I'm angry at what you're doing doesn't mean I'm belittling you. That's all in your head, and you're basing it on your impression of me instead of finally realizing that you shouldn't be judging people based only on your perceived ideas. She snapped back in the middle of a perfect set of bolio moves, showing him how good a dancer she was. He pressed into her even more as he felt her long scarlet fingernails now painfully digging into his hand. And you don't do that yourself. Oh, I'm sorry, I completely forgot. It's a therapist's job to do that, Rhode Island JT. Thank you for finally giving credit to my career choice. I was thinking you would need another slap to get you to realize how much of a proud and narrow-minded ass you are. Do you want one now? I would. Shut up, lion. I think you should be saying that to yourself. Maheron. As usual, his wolf was right since M had been noticing nearby dancers, already looking at them with either curiosity or concern. Some even had a mix of both. But he just can't help himself anymore, as the threat of being publicly humiliated with another slap bore through his now fragile ego and his wine-addled brain. That's it. I've had enough of you bossing me around. We are doing things my way from here on after. Maheron bellowed as he dragged her with him while stomping towards the elder's table. What? Wait, stop. What the hell are you doing? The livid doctor screamed while almost toppling into M since it was hard to keep up with him with her slinky dress and 4-inch high heels. The 6 elders and the 2 alphas' discussion was cut short by the commotion, and were now staring in disbelief at this tall, good-looking, and broad-shouldered god of a man bounding towards them with a dark and almost dangerous expression, and with the bride-to-be in tow. What is the meaning of this, Alexia? Who is this man? Smoothly asked Alpha Abner as he stood up to face the approaching lawyer who stopped a couple of feet in front of him. M moved Alexia to his side, and pulled himself up, as straight and proud as any half-drunk Gamma can muster. I am Addy, Maheron Dinar, Gamma of the Silvercrest Pack, and I am challenging you, Alpha Abner. For this woman, she is my mate, and you have no right to marry her. Goddess. He's gone insane. He's going to get himself killed. Alexia, along with the whole ballroom full of guests, gasped and reacted accordingly to the livid lawyer's announcement. It was indeed a worthy proclamation, since it was loud enough to reach even those outside who were cooling themselves off in the balconies and gardens. Alex's father was first to break the silence among those sitting at their table. Mate, that's ridiculous. My daughter has never mentioned one to me. Abner, I swear it. The younger alpha sneered as a reply. He then took a step nearer his challenger, realizing to his distaste that he was shorter and less athletically built than the man in front of him. Interesting. Your mate, you say, and a Gamma from a rival pack, no less. That is rich. No, it's hilarious. M recognized the look of insecurity that Abner used to measure him from head to toe. The bastard even tried to lower his voice to match his natural rumbling tone. To no avail, of course. To counter, he proudly showcased his sonorous vocals by raising his volume a couple of decibels for his reply. Yes, it's hilarious. It's absolutely laughable that you dare ignore the moon goddess's call for our mates, and instead choose one for your own without any consideration for this woman's own choice. That just proves how full you are of yourself. Maharan, do you even realize what you just said? I know exactly what I said, Lion. You're only saying that because you're drunk. Why don't we just settle this in a more diplomatic way? Gamma Maharan. I got your name right, correct? Can I call you Mahi? Abner crooned with a slight smile. No, you may not, Em snarled. Well, Mahi, the fastest solution to this is for you to reject her now. So, what can I offer you to do that, I wonder? Idiot, you just gave away your weakness. It is not a weakness, Lion. Now stay silent if you have nothing good to say. What about money, Mahi? Maharan clamped his jaw tightly, fighting the urge to tell this hateful man that he loathed to be called by that name. However, he decided not to give his newfound enemy the satisfaction of such a reaction from him. How much do you want, Mahi? Of course. You have to realize she isn't really worth much, except in the looks department. Em bristled at what he was now hearing, even more than when his childhood nickname is being mentioned. Repeatedly, he lowered his pitch until he sounded like rumbling thunder. How dare you even suggest that she has a price tag? Then what about shares with one of the biggest human computer companies in the country? Or a position in the said corporation? I can easily offer you a beta position too, since mine just died protecting me from a flubbed assassination last month. The Gamma growled out his words. You have absolutely nothing that will even tempt me to reject her. Not even the threat of death will convince me to leave her with you. Em, this is so unlike you. What the fuck are you doing? Correction, Wolf. What have I done? And I'm seeing this to the bitter end. Em then brushed off the horrified yells of his wolf and the astonished look of the very delectable woman beside him. He also ignored the throbbing bulge between his legs due to Alexia being in such close proximity for the last 10 minutes. Along with the chance of holding her, touching her, breathing her amazingly arousing scent continuously. For a moment, he lost control of his oh-so-precious focus and self-control as his mind started to envision a life with this surprisingly desirable she-wolf, whose smooth, soft hand he's still holding, waking up to her beside him, her warm, supple body in his arms, her sultry voice whispering seductive suggestions into his ear, his mouth on her bouncy bosom, his full length entering her silky moistness. Then the visions disappeared as his rival walked straight up to him. As the hated man's chest hit his, he felt a small but sharp stinging pain on his right bicep. Bam! A hard metal object hit the back of his head, and everything in front of him reeled like a runaway carousel ride. Maharan, Nu'u, how dare you hurt him? Stop it! He could hear Alexia screaming in panic and anger as he felt more solid hits colliding with his body. Em also heard other yells, with a mixture of consternation, fear, and surprise all around as he tried his best to stay on his feet. What is the meaning of this Alpha? He is the Gamma of another pack. And he is a trespasser, and needs to be dealt with as such. Elder Mello, I don't like your tone, Abner. Desist this instant, or this might end up as a full-scale war between your packs. If you want to answer this Gamma's challenge, then do it the proper way. Through his suddenly blurring vision and muffled hearing, Em recognized the voices of the elders, all demanding to be heard and for Abner to listen to reason. He can also hear Alpha Arnout Vandermeer loudly ordering his daughter to calm down, while berating her about being such an emotional and hysterical female. What he could not hear, to his bewilderment and concern, is the voice of his wolf. Lion, Lion, what is happening? Where are you? We need to merge now. Nothing. Complete silence in his head. Meanwhile, his body continued to get punished with forceful explosive hits. He had tried to defend himself, but his movements seemed slower. His senses suddenly dulled, and his arms and legs hardly responded properly. He really did feel like a puppet without its strings. Wham! An extremely powerful and painful hit behind his knees finally felled him, and he dropped like a newly cut tree onto the ballroom's creamy, gray-streaked marble tiles. He heard Alexia's frightened scream join his cry of pain. Then darkness engulfed him completely. Are you sure you weren't followed by anyone there? No, Alpha. We used the secret passageway on the left wing. Even if they managed to follow us out to the tower, we would have sensed their presence once they passed through the gardens. All right. The elders are all here in the ballroom, but you never know if they've sent someone out to tail you. Maharon was slowly waking up, but as he listened intently to the conversation he was overhearing, he decided to play dead. This was quite easy to do since it seemed he and his companions were in total darkness. How long will they be staying there, boss? It may take a while. We're all waiting for Alexia to come out of her bedroom. She seemed to have fainted when that Silvercrest bastard collapsed, and she was brought out of the ballroom so she can recover. This synced reaction had all the elders convinced that she is indeed that Gamma's mate. I've left Alpha Vandermeer to convince them otherwise, but I can't take the risk of them finding him with you, considering what I've just ordered you to do. Shit, Alexia. I hope she's okay. Wait, what am I saying? I don't need to worry about her. I should be worrying about myself. Leon, what the hell is wrong with you? Where the fuck are you? Then we should just do it. No more torturing to force him to reject her. No. Let's make this easier on all of us. Including him, make it short and sweet. Torturing to reject her, short and sweet. Damnation lion. I can't do this alone. There are almost a dozen werewolves here, and some of them have already shifted, and I can all smell and hear them. You got it, Alpha. We'll call you when the deed is done. All right, Gamma Dante. Feel free to return to the ballroom once you're done. On cue, a pair of average-sized werewolves grabbed M's numb body from off the cold brick floor and raised him high above their heads, his face directed towards the ceiling. From the vantage point, the view from the window allowed him to see the open space outside the pack house's thick, tall walls. He then realized that he was inside one of the high towers that reinforced the four corners of the castle, like pack house walls. Hold him high, so you can easily throw him out the tower after I've gutted his insides with my claws, he heard Dante say in the darkness, based on the location of his would-be killer's voice. All that his executioner had to do was to take a few steps closer to him, shift to werewolf form, then easily slash at his exposed back, destroying his spinal cord and spilling his internal organs all over the floor. It would actually be a merciful death, since he won't be feeling himself landing on the ground outside the tall tower. However, Maharon didn't plan to go out without a fight. No matter how weakened he was, and despite the absence of his wolf, to hell with this. I am not going down that easily. He twisted his upper body with all the force he could muster to loosen the smaller werewolf's grip on his wrists. Almost instantaneously, with a rush of adrenaline, M kicked at the claws that held his ankles. Both shifters growled in surprise and slight pain as their prisoner landed solidly on the hard, cold floor, then started to army crawl away in an effort to escape. He didn't go far though, as he felt the forepaws of a larger-than-average wolf landing firmly on top of him. Maharon tried to clamber upwards, despite his breath being squeezed out of his lungs by the heavy weight on his back, but only managed a few inches before he felt a large hand push down on the back of his neck, pinning him to the ground. If he wasn't recently drugged, beaten up, and unable to shift, the 10 surrounding him would have all been broken and bleeding right now. But since he's all that, some of his attackers even found it impressive that he still put up a brave fight. It's an honor to finish off such a vicious and determined fighter like you, Gamma Maharon. Too bad. It wasn't under more principled circumstances. Be comforted by the fact that if my alpha hadn't ordered it, I would have preferred to fight you fair and square, stated the still human Dante with emotion lacing his voice. Don't worry. I'll still, give you that chance, somehow. Pep, someday, M gasped, bravely. I don't think so, Maharon. Goodbye, Dante mumbled, a tad sadly. Then both Gammas suddenly heard cries of pain and panic echoing out from the darkness, a few feet away from them. A few moments more, and there were now sounds of bodies falling, violent hits, and the smell of blood grew thick in the air. M felt claws pulling at his arms once again, but this time, he felt himself being carried out into the cold night air, with the noisy yells and shuffling movements, little by little fading behind him. I won't let you say goodbye yet, Maharon. We're not done. Not by a long shot. Those were the last words he heard as everything went black. Back to the present. Alexia. Both the Beta and Bren jumped to attention as they saw the sleeping Gamma suddenly jerk upwards in a sitting position. They could see that he's now wide awake, but it's as if he was still sleeping with eyes wide open. Worriedly, both of M's friends spoke out at once while rushing to his side. Bro, take it easy. Boss, are you okay? No answer from the man in the patient's gown. He continued looking at the wall as if he could see through it. Bren was about to slightly shake his arm when Aaron stopped him with a hand on the slightly slimmer man's shoulder. No, don't. He's trying to mind-link his wife. Or maybe it's her who has linked with him. How sure are we that he is doing that right now? Well, I guess we have to wait and see. Maharon, my love. Alexia, beloved, thank the goddess. You finally linked with me. Husband, I don't have much time. He might come back anytime soon. A pause that felt like a lifetime. So, it's true, wife. He truly has abducted you. Did he? Listen, beloved, I really have no time to talk about that. I just want you to know that I intend to escape, because even if V accepts his challenge, he has no intention of returning me to you. Which means he intends to cheat. The Gamma's chest tightened at what he heard, but what really crushed him was what he didn't hear from her. She could have easily said yes or no to his question. Instead, she shifted the topic, and silence usually meant yes. How could he possibly cheat in a challenge? The elders will have his head if we don't beat them to it, Alexia. I don't know how yet, but I feel it, and you know my premonitions. They always do come true. Besides, he can hardly beat you, much more V. So, what are you saying, wife? We can't possibly turn down the challenge. I feel that you should, husband. A long pause. That's not your call, Alex. He's using me to make the challenge happen. My opinion should be given attention. If not V, then you should Massachusetts Heron, and you're my wife. Not taking a challenge that involves you is unthinkable for me as your husband and mate. If not for the right to fight for you, then I willingly will do it out of love, and out of love. I'm asking, no, begging, that none of you sacrifice your lives for me. I will find a way back to you. I promise you that. Beloved, no, that's unthinkable. I will get you away from him, like I've done before, that I promise you, beloved. And nothing you do or say will change my mind. Silence. A few seconds later, he could have sworn that he heard her crying softly. He too felt tears flowing down his cheeks, but he did not give her a clue of how hopeless and helpless he was feeling then. She needed him to be strong for her. It's the least he can do for now. And he intended to do it no matter what. I love you, husband. Mate, I love you too, wife. My mate, and I really need to know, did he touch you? Her answer was almost instantaneous. No words, but finally he heard her agonized sobs, her heartrending cries as her tears were released like an open dam. Maharan did his best to soothe her with his low, smooth voice and comforting words. However, time was not on their side. I can hear him. His voice is right outside my door now, beloved. Please, I need to go. Alexia, no. Don't cut our connection. He patiently waited to hear her again. Willed with all his might that she answer him. She didn't, and he's forced to leave her for now, as she was to leave him. The brokenness in both of them tore them inside. Yet his intention is to protect her from his pain, as she did the same for him. Mates? Maharan. Bro, you with us now. Aaron's voice was now registering in his brain, and M was feeling his closest friend's muscled arm around his slumped shoulders. After a little while, the room started to also register in his retinas. He started seeing the off-white walls of the hospital suite, the ivory-hued furnishings, the pearl-colored tiles, the bright lights, the open windows with the sunlight shining through them. Gamma, it's Bren. Do you want me to call the doc? Maharan wiped his hand across his damp cheeks, looked to his right, and spoke to the beta in clipped tones. Get off the bed, Aaron. Aaron chuckled as he scrambled off the top of his friend's sheets. Sorry, bro. And Brenner, can you remove the food and water off that hospital tray and bring it to me? Sure, answered the bartender personal assistant as he did what M asked. What for, Chief? M's light brown eyes glowed to a yellowish hue as he took the large aluminum tray in his hands while holding on to the shorter ends. After a moment of silence, he twisted the tray, creating a pretzel-like shape. He didn't stop with just one turn. 1, 2, 3, 4. His large forearms bulged powerfully as he turned the tray's edges in opposite directions, creating a screwed-up iron ribbon out of the poor tray. By the time he was done, his masterpiece looked like a bigger version of a twisted Coke can. As his audience of two watched, unsure whether they should stop him or not, he dropped the remains of the tray on the floor, seemingly enjoying the loud metallic crash and clatter. Clang. Are you done? Everyone looked at the open doorway to find a grim-faced V standing there, his hand still on the doorknob. The Gamma's face was equally serious as he replied. I am. I'm sorry, but I think that's a better option than punching a bathroom wall full of holes. Hey, don't knock it till you've tried it, bro, Aaron quipped. So I guess from the looks of that tray, you have already reached Alex, right? Yes. And according to her, he won't surrender her to us even if you win the challenge. Vince walked towards the bed before speaking. Well, he'd better keep her safe and alive before that day. And that has to be soon. This is why I already contacted the elders. They are willing to have an emergency meeting with us at 8 tonight at the Silvercrest building, along with the kidnapper. M's eyes narrowed, and you could almost hear a low rumbling growl from him as he tossed aside his covers and stood up from the bed. He then faced his alpha with a determined look on his face. I'd like to ask permission to use the proxy clause for this challenge. V, I realize you may not like the idea of me representing the pack. Since obviously you are the Silvercrest Alpha and are better equipped to deal with this, but I truly want permission granted. After all, she is my wife, and though it also entails losing our properties and people if I fail, I still believe. Vince's eyebrows rise. M, I approve your request, and though you're the one who's supposed to answer him, he specifically mentioned the challenge I issued to him 3 years ago. And it's only fair that, Gamma Maharon Dinar, I agree with you, yelled the pack leader as he clapped both his hands on the lawyer's shoulders. I do fight on your behalf. Huh, what did you say? I said, I grant you permission to represent the Silvercrest pack in this challenge under the proxy provision. So will you just stop acting like you're in court and please prepare yourself for the meeting tonight? A short pause later, the two hefty, good-looking males smirked at each other before M finally gave his superior a warm, brotherly hug of thanks. V responded with a one-arm embrace as he clapped his open palm on his Gamma's firm back. I'll see you at the pack house entrance at 6 p.m. then, Alpha. For now, I'll be at my apartment. Bren, please join me. I'll need you to prepare me a brew, ordered Maharon, as he took off the hospital gown and put on the short silken white robe his friends provided to cover him when he was brought to the hospital. You got it, Gamma. A couple of hours later, Bren would be fixing up his concoctions in the Gamma's apartment. He was truly challenged in following Maharon's request for a specific type of brew with a particular kind of effect and personalized for the Gamma's use tonight. Meanwhile, M had decided to take a shower, then began to meditate in one corner of his living room, which sported a small bamboo mat, a few votive candles, and some lighted incense sticks in a glass holder. Somehow, the short silk robe that he still chose to wear made him all the more sage, like as he sat cross-legged with his eyes closed on the mat. And you really think that he'll try to push you to the edge tonight? Even if the elders are there, sir. I profile people for a living, Bren, and knowing Abner, he certainly will, was Maharon's low and sonorous reply, the incense smoke curling around him. Besides, he knows that I will be there due to the proxy provision. I'm sorry for sounding so naive, but I've been a rogue wolf for most of my life, and I have never heard of that kind of condition in a challenge before. How does it work, by the way? Bren asked as he set aside the completed mixture to cool. Instead of our alpha fighting, I will be the representative of our pack during the challenge. Simple as that. Let me guess. The reason behind that setup isn't as simple as that, though. M didn't speak for a full minute, as if he was in a deep trance. Truth is, he was torn between keeping everything in and suffering in silence, or telling Bren everything, so he can let it out. Gamma, I would really like to know, pushed the personal assistant as he felt the internal pull, to know more and M's need to speak. Adai. Dinar opened his eyes to look at Bren, before starting to talk about the past. All right, I might as well. Again, 3 years ago, he woke up to a familiar song being sung a cappella by the most beautiful singing voice that he had ever heard in his life. Admittedly, he has quite a particular taste to such performances since he had some background in classical music. The one he was hearing then obviously sounded like it had been trained for quite a few years. The control, tremolo, and timbre of this feminine singer could easily take her to perform professionally for a Broadway musical or even a light operetta if she decided to. When the war comes, and I need to find shelter, can I stay with you? Right now, the disembodied voice was satisfied with singing a contemporary love song about wanting to be with someone. Meanwhile, he was more than satisfied hearing her finish the piece, realizing after a few stanzas that her feelings were spilling into the words, and if they form a club, where I don't want to belong. Then, to his surprise, he knew that he was now feeling the song too. Magai Keg Dan B.J. Jow by Claudia DeBrage. Beautiful. But wait, am I awake or am I just dreaming? The wounded and battered Gamma opened his eyes and saw a not-so-familiar ceiling of minty green painted plaster and carved mahogany wood edgings. Right above him was a vintage brass ceiling fan with crystalline flower lights at the center, and thin but long wooden blades. The fan chandelier was turned on and was whirring silently to keep him cool and comfortable, based on the coolness of the room and the moon's view from the open window as he rose from the bed. It seemed there somewhere at the edge of the city, and it was some time after midnight. And that delicious smell of food. Coffee, chili, freshly baked bread. Oh, you're up. Good. Stay in bed. I'll bring your food there, just a minute. He looked up at the singer-cook companion, who just poked her head into his open bedroom door. Alexia, how the hell? Wait, this is one of the Silvercrest safe houses. How did she manage to unlock it? Or even find it? Do you want butter for your bread? How about orange juice? Alexia loudly asked from the other side of the door. Coffee's fine and a glass of water, please. M answered, as he noticed the expertly applied bandages, and gauze around his arms, chest, sides, and even calves. He also realized that he was buck naked, his clothes folded on a chair a good distance away from him, and wondered if that was also her doing. He then tried to sit up all by himself, and felt pain stabbing several parts of his battered anatomy. His yell of anguish sent Alexia running into the room, as she balanced the tray of food and drinks expertly in her hands. Maharan, what are you doing? Wait a minute, please. Alex scolded worriedly as she placed the tray on a nearby table, then rushed to his side so she could help the still-wounded Gamma to sit up. After propping fluffed-up pillows behind him, she took out a small foldable table, set it up across M's lap, and placed the tray on top of it. The smell of food wafting up to his nostrils, and her scent was so appetizing he couldn't help but salivate. There was a small slab of bacon, a bowl of Texas-style chili, beans with chopped beef instead of ground, with grated cheese, sour cream, and dill on top, a whole medium-sized loaf of bread with a side of butter curls on a dish. The large mug of coffee was strong and steaming, while the glass of water was chilled with no ice. The Gamma looked at the feast in front of him, then at the wall clock adjacent to the bed. He couldn't believe that this woman could have possibly cooked all these less than a couple hours. And how the hell did she know that I love chili with cheese and sour cream? Eat up while it's hot. I was hoping you'd heal fast enough to have at least a still warm meal. Wasn't sure when you were going to wake up, but I took the chance and started cooking as soon as I've dressed your wounds. You can take painkillers after you're done eating. They're right there on the bedside table. M took bites of the chili as she started opening up the other windows, taking his clothes from the chair, and throwing them into the washing machine, which was inside the bedroom's private bathroom. Then finally sitting down on the edge of the king-sized bed. All the while, she was talking her head off as if it's her own way of entertaining him, or reducing the awkwardness of silence. While he ate the bacon, so tender, the beans and beef so perfectly marinated and cooked, and bread so crusty outside and fluffy inside. Even the coffee is how I usually like it. I can't believe how delicious and tasty everything is, how all the dishes seem perfectly fitted with each other in taste, texture, and combination. Don't forget there's still dessert, okay? It's amazing how your larders here in your safe houses are so well stocked with supplies. I even saw a whole suckling pig in the chest freezers beside the fridge. Who the heck has time to cook all of that? Maharan was in the middle of dunking a large piece of bread into his chili when he finally piped up, distrust lacing his voice. How did you even manage to get into one of our safe houses without a key? And how the damn fuck did you even find it? You have this weird habit of talking in your sleep, but only when you're asked a question. Really now? How did you figure that out? He asked, as he tried to hide the shock and suspicion of her knowing another one of his well-kept secrets. While I was carrying you, I started asking myself aloud where the hell was I supposed to bring you, and you started mumbling coordinates. I used that to get to this location. Then it was easy to find the security plate behind the mail slot beside the door. I put your hand on it, and voila, here we are. M took about 15 seconds to realize that he needed to close his mouth, despite him still being bewildered at how smart and analytical Alexia was. He didn't want her to know how impressed he was with her. If he was just honest, he would tell her himself how intelligent and street smart she was by doing all that, and more. However, he still remembered his downfall at the hands of Abner, his being beaten up by his pack, him getting drunk and losing all self-control in public, and being rescued by this woman, who practically lied to him about her true identity. Thing is, it seemed that Alexia was not in any way affected by his doubtful and negative attitude towards her at that time. It seemed she was just happy. Whether it was because she's free from the engagement teen marriage proposal that she was supposed to receive, or just feeling good that they're both safe. It wasn't really clear to him. However, he wasn't at all sure how to react as this woman started to talk non-stop again. I've always wanted to cook my own meals, but father never let me. Those are the Omega's jobs, he would say. He never liked anything I wanted to try out. Besides cooking, I learned how to play the drums, keyboards, sing, write novels, street and pole dancing, without him knowing. He wouldn't even let me learn self-defense, and I had to pay for those lessons myself. He felt a strange tug at his heart, an emotion reserved for family and longtime and trusted friends. Once, I tried to join the pack's sparring session, and I got thrown out. Females aren't allowed inside. Not even the alpha's daughter. I'm so sorry to hear that. Are you? Well, he's not. He even thinks it's a waste of time for me to be part of the pack's medical or psychiatric team, despite all my efforts to become a doctor. He always said that I should concentrate on looking sexy, pretty, and desirable, so I can be married off to the highest bidder. Hearing her vent as he devoured the food that she so expertly prepared, he couldn't help but really feel for her. It was very different at the pack house. Since, as it was usual in most packs on Silvercrest, the she-wolves joined the sparring sessions and were part of the warriors. And he knew for sure that if she was living with him, she would be welcomed by the trainers with open arms. If she was living with you, huh? Wonder where those thoughts came from. Lion, what the fuck? Where did you go a while ago? What happened to you? Seriously. I really don't understand what happened. And 1 minute I was here and the next thing you know, I'm in La La Land. Out like a light. Wait, I remember something. I think that small stinging sensation on my bicep before we got clobbered has something to do with that. Could be Maharon. Good thing then that she was able to save you from her ex-BF's goons. Excuse me, Abner wasn't even her real boyfriend. And what do you mean save me? I could have saved myself without her help. Right. And all these wounds, really bad injuries. And your concussions show that you were totally in control during the attack. Really, Em, I thought your pride being handed to you on a platter would make you realize a thing or two about you and our mate. Oh, shut up about the mate thing, Lion. You're better off silent. I agree. Especially if my human won't even listen to me. Oh, are you talking to your wolf right now? I can see it in your eyes. Small bursts of emotions, along with small changes in your facial expression. Alexia asked while still sitting on the bed beside him. Can my wolf and he talk? Even for just a moment. Maharon stared at her piercingly with his sexy, but really dangerous, looking eyes. Realizing that she was even reading him without him knowing, he removed the table on his lap, then struggled to leave the bed despite the agonizing pain that began to punish his body. Hey! Wait, stop. Stop ordering me around, woman. The Gamma snapped, standing straight up facing her despite him being in the nude. Now that our deal is done, I demand to finally end this charade so I can go back home. He waited for her to snap back at him with her usual volume and pitch, but with 2 levels or higher. Instead, to his surprise, he hears her sigh. M turned around just to be sure he was still talking to the same feisty female who was matching his fury's intensity. Just a few hours ago, she was looking down at the bed, her face with a tender expression, her long hair falling down one side of her head. It was at that instant that he realized that she's wearing black jeans, leather boots up to her ankles, and an ebony sleeveless shirt. The buttons in the front open until the 4th one allowing a peek at her deep cleavage. The sight of her like this tugged at his heartstrings. He wasn't used to this soft, silent woman in front of him, the same way he wasn't used to these feelings he had for her. You really should think twice about leaving for now, Maharon. Especially if you do plan to go home. They're sure to go after you and your pack, and that would be the first place they will look for you. For us. By the end of her statement, she had already given him a robe which she already had prepared beforehand and had left on the bedside table earlier on. Her caring actions, along with the concern in her voice, and the soft look in her eyes was very new to him too, especially since they were practically still strangers, if not for the mate factor. To his chagrin, later on, he suddenly felt his suspicious nature, suddenly peeking out, slowly replacing the unfamiliar tenderness that he wanted to show her. He would eventually regret what he was about to say, deeply. Spare me your theatrics, woman. He snapped at her with a steely tone as he put on the robe. All you wanted was to use me and my influence from the very beginning. By your own admission, you were the one who sent the video to us hoping we would investigate your claims. Well, you've got what you wanted, and I don't want to have anything to do with you anymore. It took her a while to answer, her face now showing how affected she was by what he said. However, it was truly impressive that she managed to keep all those emotions out of her voice. That's fair, she replied, tonelessly. Painful but fair, but you really should consider hiding out for a while until they decide to answer your challenge by contacting your alpha. That way, they don't try anything like what they did to you at the ballroom. The way she spoke grated at him more since he was now feeling guilty for being ill-tempered with her, and that incident is entirely your fault. Her mouth opened wide in shock, but her voice remained non-aggressive. Me, I told you to tell them you're a lawyer and speak on behalf of me. You're the one who decided to announce that we're mates. That's like a death sentence, Maharan, and it wasn't part of the plan. If not for me fake fainting. Well, I was dizzy but not that bad. Then rescuing you from being murdered by his gamma. Excuse me, I didn't need you to rescue me. Besides, if I didn't even agree to attend your precious party to rescue you from being married to him, I would not even be in that situation. Hell, if you didn't send us that video, I wouldn't even have found you and be here with you. You were in that situation because you decided at the last minute to change the plan. She tried to soothingly explain, and she wondered why she even bothered. Also, I told your alpha that it's up to him to decide if he wants to push through with helping me or not. And he sent you. Besides, I found you and not the other way around. Mate. Maharan fell silent because he knew she was right. And the way she whispered the last word twisted painfully in his chest. Mate. He knew that what he was doing was wrong and should just stop defending himself. Unfortunately, he never took defeat that well, and it upset him even more than it had to be her who would put him in his place. Well, Massachusetts T, I think your plan was stupid to begin with, and I was totally insane to even consider agreeing to it. It would have helped if you were there earlier to discuss it with me. And what was I supposed to tell the people dressing me up for the wedding? Oh, can I have my partner in crime come up here so we can talk about me running away? I told you, if you didn't get all drunk and stuck with my plan. Your plan. Always your plan. I'm tired of hearing you bossing me around, acting so high and mighty by making me look stupid or getting my ass kicked. I don't need you telling me what to do. I don't need you reminding me that we're mates. I don't need a mate or marriage either. As a matter of fact, I don't need you. I never needed you. And I will never, ever need you. A long pause passed between them. The way she was looking at him then was crushing his heart like a metal vice. But it was too late to take his words back. Oh, you stupid human. You're on your own. As Lion's voice faded from his brain, he saw her turn around to rush towards the bedroom closet. From there, she took out a large black and violet backpack and slung it on her shoulders. Still not saying anything, she briskly walked past him towards the still open bedroom door. And that's when she turned to him, and he could read on her face how hurt she was. Yes, you definitely don't need a mate. Feel free to reject me if that's the case. Oh, and maybe you should think about marrying yourself since you obviously like to fuck yourself anyway. Before he could reply, she turned around, walked to the front door and opened it. It was later that he would realize that she had amazingly reprogrammed the security program of the safe house to accept her fingerprints for the lock system. It was also much later that he would also realize that she had found the key to the loan ride that was stored in the house, which was a motorcycle, with the same make and model as the one he used before. And even much later too, he would realize too late that he wanted to stop her and say he's sorry, but he didn't. M just sighed as he watched her go, bit his lip to shut him up as the front door slammed shut. He then shook his head as the bike revved into the night. A good hour later, as he dressed up in his newly laundered shirt and pants, he heard his mobile ringing. He looked towards the bedside table where the robe was. And there it was. It was too late to answer on the third ring, as he usually did though. Yes, Alpha. I've wondered where you were. I thought the worst had happened until the pack house got a very angry phone call from a certain father and Alpha of the Dark Forest pack. If he's that furious, then that definitely proves that you're still alive and just in hiding. Yes. I'm currently in one of the safe houses at the city's suburban borders. Still functional at the very least. Good. And Alexia. Maharan was silent for a while. V got his answer. You need to find her, M. Her pack and Abner's are about to get really feisty with us. And we need her as a bargaining chip, since she's the one who set up that party event fiasco in the first place. Well, it wasn't entirely a part of her plan. That the whole thing went sideways. What? It was your choice? I know how it sounds. Yes. And I can't believe you acted so irresponsibly. Gamma, do you really want us to get into a war with two packs at the same time? I would expect that from Aaron, but not you. Hey! Yelled a male voice in the background, making it obvious that they were on speakerphone. I'm hurt. How could you guys? Be quiet, Aaron, commanded V. And you, Maharan, get your ass after her and bring her back to the safe house. You are both to stay there until I sort this mess out. Copy that. And I apologize for this, Alpha. Update me. Now go. The call ended. And soon the Gamma had undressed, packed some clothes in another backpack, and was now heading outside and shifting to werewolf form, merging with his now very willing and agreeable wolf. You need me to track her. M, that I can do for you. No need, Lion. I know exactly where she is. Back at the present time, in one of the private bedrooms in the Alpha Abner suite. Alexia tried her best to swallow her tears, her grief, and her love for her mate before the man who dared take her away from him entered her room again. The only good thing about her situation now is that she was no longer tied down to the bed, had already taken a bath, and was now dressed in shorts and a t-shirt. At least, they gave her something that's decent enough to wear and move in. She would be able to fight him now, and she's determined that he would be broken and bleeding if he ever decided to take her again. Thankfully, she heard the main door of the suite closing and his voice suddenly fading from her sharp hearing. Despite the absence of her wolf, she had honed her senses quite well with the help of her private self-defense masters. With the same sharp senses, she was sure that she was in one of the rooms in Abner's bedroom. She remembered using this same bedroom to relieve herself during the time when she was being dressed up in the suite's living room. And if she could just dig into her memories for the directions to get out of this enormous castle, like Pack House, then she knew she could escape. However, what only came to her thoughts was him, the first man who had ever rescued her from her despised wedding. Twice. Alexia, are you sure this is a good idea? Why don't we just take our things and go? Margay, please. I just got myself internally battered and bruised by the one man I thought could and would rebuild me. So much for mates, right? Yes, but that's not enough reason to bed just any male. She finally arrived at the ragdoll, happy that she had clothes in her locker, along with her fake IDs, passports, and other personal documents that could assure her of a new life out of the pack. Alex had them made around a month before, so she didn't have to explain anything to the people who ran the club. It was easier to deal with them that way, since it would not make sense that a psychotherapist with a PhD degree would want to be a pole dancer. She never did understand how society could judge a woman's interests as damaging to the masses' perception of their professions. But such is life. Hey Alexandra, you're not scheduled for tonight, right? The boss said there's a new stripper that they hired and she's supposed to take the whole stage time later. No prob, Joey. Just wanted to relax and watch the show for a change, was her quick reply to the bouncer beside the door as she slinked sexily to the bar. Mario, the short but well-built bartender, welcomed her with a whole bottle of her favorite local wine. Heh, they say you shouldn't shit where you eat, girl. The alpha's daughter took a healthy swig straight from the bottle, then turned her stool so she could see the stage, her elbows settled on the bar counter. And what made you think I'll be doing that, Mario? The barkeep chortled. I can read it in your face, girl, and your body language. You're upset and you're looking for a quick but hard lay. If I didn't have a wife, I would bang you right here just to get you off and help you out. And what made you think I'll take your offer? Sorry, Mario, you're too much of a brother for me. The bartender laughed so loudly, he partially canceled out the DJ's heavy beats and the loud rap music that filled the darkened club. I know, girl, so I'll offer you the next best thing. I can recommend those who are looking for the same thing as you. Makes the hunt easier and faster. And I know that's what you want, right? Easier and faster. Don't laugh at your own jokes, Mario. Kills the climax. And that's why you're on the prowl, right, girl? Did someone kill your climax? And he's special enough that it hurt. Now you want to get it from someone else? Damn, must have really burned. If I wanted a therapist, I wouldn't be here drinking wine and talking to you. Mario, can it? Alex icily snapped at her Paula brother. Okay. Fair enough, he chuckled. So, if you want to know the easy bachelors that are here right now, there's one there, another one over there, and that one in the corner booth that's hidden behind the fake palm tree. Margay. Do you see those he's pointing out? Yes, I do, Alexia, and I'm not sure if we should be choosing regulars. Oh, who fucking cares, Margay? After tonight, we won't be coming back here anyway, by tomorrow. I'll be completely immersed and absorbed in the Philippine populace as Mab Danera and will disappear completely from anyone who knows me. Danera, huh? Sounds so coincidental. And are you even sure that you want to disappear from his view? He never wanted me, Margay. The same way my father didn't want me. Even if the moon goddess gave me to them. My father wanted a son, while my mate doesn't want anyone. But his wolf wants us. Just you, Margay. Just you. Look, I don't want to talk about him anymore. I need a man, and I'll just take anyone you choose. Come on, pick me a winner, she-wolf. No, I can't. I only want our mate. Then, sorry. I'll just have to find someone else since he only seems to love himself. It took her a few seconds to make the selection. More seconds to wait for him to make eye contact. And half a minute for her to slowly and seductively walk towards the far corner of the room where the back door with the exit sign was easily accessible. And in plain sight. Alexia always kept special attention to these factors, just in case she needed a fast exeunt. There, the eager, clean-shaven man with black hair swept back from his face with cheap, oily pomade, was grinning at her, like she was a steak being served to him. She chose to sit on the seat nearest the palm tree to block the bar's view from her sight, where she knew Mario was chuckling to himself. I don't like the way he looks at you, or his looks, Alexia. We get that kind of look all the time in this joint. Marg, relax, he's a regular, remember? He won't do anything that will get him banned from here. But he looks a little like... Don't say it, Margay. Please don't, like Maharan. I thought you didn't want to be reminded of him. Well, hello there, sexy. Want a drink? The cheapo version of Addie, Dinar said with a leering smile. Alexia placed her half-consumed bottle of wine on the table, her teasing smirk going strong. I have one already. What I want is something to eat. The man's eyes glittered lustily, and his tone turned suave. Don't you mean someone? Alex. He's creeping me out. Oh, please. You're a wolf. We can easily turn if he does something we don't like. You mean, when he does something you don't like? Well then, here's a glass for you to use. Pretty girl, let's finish our drinks first before we start eating. What do you say? Alexia stared at the empty glass that he had offered her. It was one of the etched glasses the club used to serve water to their customers. She shrugged, then filled it halfway with her wine, then gulped it down like water. The therapist started feeling woozy, right when she took a sip of her second glass of wine. Margay. Margay. Are you feeling that, Margay? No answer. Something was definitely wrong. Alex tried to clear her vision by squinting at the blurred M look. Alike who was now splitting into two, no three copies in front of her. What the hell? Did you do? She heard his wheezing laughter and felt the disgust crawl up her arm as he reached out to touch it. To her horror, she couldn't even manage to bring up her hand to slap his fingers away as he now grabbed her. I know who you are, she-wolf. And there's been a price on top of your head, along with your mate. I know I'm no match against a fucking gamma, but an average hunter like me will take any bounty that comes my way. Just so happened I've seen you dance here before. Alex tried to scream, but even her voice seemed to have failed her. So did the rest of her anatomy, and she found herself slipping from her chair. The villain was quick to leave his seat, so he can push her back up to a sitting position, while taking half the space of the booth seat behind the palm tree. Now, they were both hidden from the view of most people in the bar. Then the spotlight turned on and trains on a thin but busty ivory-skinned woman on stage. She wore a gauzy cloak that covered her from head to her knees. Underneath it was a hardly visible mini-string bikini. That's the same tint as her skin. Everyone's attention automatically focused on the new girl, as she began her dance with a perfectly executed split. While the music intensified, drowning out the audience's cries of admiration and desire. The man who drugged Alexia was now whispering into her ear so she could hear his incessant gloating, causing her to almost vomit on him due to his nauseating scent. See, nobody notices us now. When she starts to remove her clothes, I will be carrying you to my car, and we can have a little fun there before I return you to your prince. Okay, he did say he doesn't mind me taking a little taste. We usually share our toys with each other. Toys. It was now very obvious that this man had been in the company of Abner for quite a bit of time. His admission was as much proof to her as his scent. What they have done together, though it still involved other females, is truly revolting to her. Oh, and that colorless liquid that I poured into your glass before giving it to you. That came from him too. He's obsessed with it and has created several versions of it to create beautiful visions, hallucinations. Or in your case, states of immobility so you are willing to be used. It's a wonderful addition to most of our orgies. Orgies. Oops, there it is. She's taking her clothes off now. Time to go, doll. I'm so eager to taste test what Abner will be enjoying in the near future. She remembered being dragged into this sex-craved kidnapper's arms and somehow got her out the back door without anyone noticing them exit. Unfortunately, Alexia could do nothing except try to keep calling her wolf so they can merge. Margay, Margay. Still. Silence. Then, out of desperation, she screamed out a name in her head. Not even sure if he will or want to respond. Maharan. Please say help me. I'll let you reject me. I'll even reject you if that is what you truly want. Just don't let Abner have me. Please. I'd rather die. She felt the cool wind on her skin and smelled the cloying odor of garbage and urine. Evnar's pawn stepped out into the club's back alley. He started to briskly walk towards an unmarked black van parked near the other end of the narrow street. Maharan, mate, I'd rather die than go back and be married to him. Damn it, please. Hear me. Alexia heard him slide the van's door open, and she gasped as her back and head violently hit the vehicle's hard metallic floor. Good thing she's not just human, or else she would have had a fractured skull, along with large dark bruises. The only thing affected by her very violent landing was her eyesight, which was now fading as she felt two eager male hands pulling her shirt up, and then she heard a loud snarl from somewhere near her feet. Next thing she knew, there were human screams of terror as the warm, heavy weight above her slid off her. Soon the growls and howls were louder than the shrieks and cries, and the smell of blood was once again in the air. The last thing she remembered was being carried again. But the arms around her were furry, and she could also feel claws grasping her right arm and leg. Lion. I think she's coming around. Lion. Isn't that his wolf? Alexia's head was throbbing as she tried to open her eyes. Somehow, she felt that her eyelids were bench-pressing 100-pound weights, and her body was under a wrecking ball. Well, it felt more like she was used as a wrecking ball. What happened? She mumbled. She felt a cool, wet piece of cloth being wiped on her forehead. Along with it was a set of large, long fingers, warm and tender. I went looking for you. Didn't see you inside the club, but I heard you somehow despite the noise of the crowd and that awfully loud rap dance music being played by their DJ. Used your voice and scent to find you. So glad I got to you before he... Well, you don't need to worry about him ever again. Alex smiled as she looked up at the good-looking man who saved her from being used against her will. Twice. She saw his Adam's apple move as he seemed to suddenly need to swallow as he looked down at her. I've never seen his eyes this gentle or his facial expression so concerned. Could it be that he has finally... Thank you, the doctor whispered, a smile on her face as she realized that he was sitting beside her on the bed. I didn't know you cared about me that much. His hand stopped moving. Suddenly, she could also see his jaw suddenly tensing, while his lips twisted as if he had taken something distasteful. What did I say this time? Did I do something wrong? It took him a while to reply in this seemingly nonchalant tone. It's not that I care. I mean, you decided to leave on your own. My alpha just wanted you to be here with me as leverage. It seems your father just called them at the pack house and is now angrily demanding your return or else. Alex didn't wait for him to finish. She pushed him aside with all her might and moved to the other side of the bed in an effort to get away from him. Hey, stop. Alexia, don't. Shut up. Stay the fuck away from me. You... She gasped as she tried to stay on her feet by holding onto the bedside table for support. Em rushed to where she was and tried to lead her back into bed. What was I supposed to tell you? It's the truth. That's what Vince said. The angry female kept pushing him away, forcing the Gamma to put his arms around her, just so she doesn't keel over. Oh, I can understand that your alpha would say that. But you telling me that you don't really care, that you don't. That I'm just a fucking prize for you to use against my father. I'm sorry, but I truly didn't believe then that we could work out. Because, what? I'm too bossy, too emotional, too fucking female. Alexia, he cried, as they fell on the bed because of their struggles. For a while they both could not speak, as they tried to catch their breath. It's not that. You're what? You're sorry I'm not your ideal girl? That the moon goddess made a mistake by making us mates? You're like my dad if that's the case. He thinks the moon goddess made a mistake by giving him a daughter? She cried out. So conscious of his delicious body on top of hers, his desirable scent overwhelming her senses. Your father is an idiot. Well, you would know. True, Maheron said, sounding sad, while his eyes were on hers with that same tender expression he had a while ago. Somehow his words and tone made her even more furious with him, and she started to hit him, helter-skelter connecting everywhere her hands can reach him. What? Are you making fun of me? Condescending me now, Gamma? Well, I don't fucking need your pity. And you know what? I don't need you. Not like this. The said Gamma used both hands to pin her wrists to her sides. Alex, please. Listen, I did try to reject you before I entered the club, and at his words, the she-wolf screamed, growled furiously, and tried to twist her arms, feet, and torso to get him off her. Oh my god, you really did try. So, you really can't accept me as a mate. What the hell stopped you? Do you need our mate connection so I can be a proper ace to play against my pack? You're feeling sorry for me. Really? Alexia. That's not it. You know what? Fine, I'll do it. I'll reject you and set you free so you won't feel guilty. I already said it a while ago anyway. And once I do that, we can finally go our separate ways and never worry about having a mate. Damn it, woman, that's not what I meant. M hissed through gritted teeth, his face now mere inches away from his livid and thrashing mate. But if you really hate me that much, no, don't try to explain anymore, Maharon. I don't want to hear it. At least just once. Just fucking once. I get to reject someone I really love instead of them rejecting me. Alexia said, choking on tears that were now dangerously close to flowing down the sides of her face. It was the Gamma's turn to gasp. What, did you just... She then gasped too, but it was because her eyes were now welling up and one tear did fall against her will. Don't worry. I'm sure we'll be fine not knowing how things turned out if we did mark each other. So, yes, as of today, I reject you, Massachusetts. The man on top of her kissed her deeply before she was even able to completely say his name. So, what did you mean, Maharon? The things you said a while ago. More like what I wanted to say, but didn't manage to say them properly, which has never happened to me before. And I can't blame you for getting upset with me. I truly deserved your hate. That's what I thought you already felt for me, so I didn't want you to know what I was already feeling for you. When I tried to reject you. That's when I realized that I couldn't. I can't. Alexia moved her naked body against Maharon's, cuddling into his nude muscular torso. So naturally, as if she was made to be there. She felt his arm instinctively caress her and bring her even closer to his chest. He looked down at her as she nuzzled his smooth, sinewy chest. That's when you knew. Yes, my love. I felt pain even while I tried to say your name. It was intense, becoming more and more torturous as I kept trying. And that was when I realized I was already, undeniably, and utterly in love with you. Alex swallowed hard, trying to keep herself from tearing up again. But the way he said his admission was so heartfelt, so sincere, and so true. But the way I treated you, rejecting you even before I realized how much you meant to me. Several times too. I couldn't face you knowing that you probably already hated me. It was too much for me. So, I decided to just anger you enough to actually reject me. After all, you deserved better. Now her tears flowed freely, and M felt the moistness on his chest, her warm sobs causing his heart to twist painfully. She pinched one of his nipples, which she already knew were exquisitely sensitive, and twisted it lightly. Alex felt his torso's muscles tighten, and heard him hiss, half in arousal, half in agony. That's for allowing me to almost let you go. You bastard. He inhaled softly to calm his raging lust, which she had just triggered, and brought her up with both hands so she could look into his eyes. Yes, I admit to being a bastard, and even worse, because I couldn't push through with my original plan of you leaving me, especially when I heard you saying that you still loved me, despite everything I've done. Goddess, how could you even think of letting me go? Just for that, I really hate you and love you so much, Attorney Dinar. She murmured into his lips before giving him a long, luscious kiss. He felt himself going hard for her as she ended her assault on his mouth. I only deserve the former and not the latter, Dr. Vandermeer. You are so good, caring, and compassionate while I'm such a hateful, ignorant, and egotistical mate, so I shouldn't even be here with you. Well, motion denied, attorney. I'm not about to let you go, not when I already know the truth and the evidence has been presented and is undeniable, she murmured as her moistness found his pulsing manhood. Maharon groaned, his chest rumbling out the sound, as he felt his hardened head entering her wet opening. May I then request continuous audience, unwagular, and regular visits with the MMPPH psychotherapist of my choice, so that I may learn how to truly, love my mate, dearest doctor. But of course, my passionate patient. You can even have a session now, and the only payment, I will ask, is your heart, she murmured as she pushed herself to bury his full thick length into her in one smooth, swift movement. They cry out at the same time as she felt him stretch her extensively, and while he felt her tighten around him intensely, she started to move, rubbing her breasts against his chest while her groin did the same, and in time to her sensual moans of pleasure. Yes, lady. Take it, please take my heart, and teach me how to love, truly, sincerely, and eternally. Love you. The Gamma breathed in between heaving gasps. She now sat up, burying him even further into her, while her lusciously soft and rounded bottom teased his firm sacs, making his tool even harder, bigger. Maharon, almost drowning in all the sensations of her, reached out for her large breasts, their hardened chocolate-colored nipples now being rubbed between his fingers. Her cries of delight were now overwhelming him, like a song that was made only for him. And he knew it, truly was. No longer able to control himself, he grabbed her and pulled her back into his tight embrace. As his hips started moving in and out of her, he kept her immobile on top of him with his muscular arms. She started moaning, breathing, screaming with intense passion ringing in her melodious voice, straight into his ear. Meanwhile, he felt his lips touch the area between her neck and the middle of her right shoulder. I'm Heya? Coming, my love. Triple Heya. Yes, my mate, go harder. Faster, I'm going to come too. Ignoring the fact that they spoke in their heads, Maharon pounded into her moistness with all the speed and power that he can muster, yelling out his pleasure into her skin like a passionate battle cry. And as he released inside of her, he found himself biting into that very soft and tender part of her, his fangs suddenly growing, and his eyes glowing. He was surprised as he suddenly felt pain around the same area on his body where he had bitten her. Both have had experienced climaxing before, but nothing could compare to the one they were having now. There were colors, pain, pleasure, all piercing their senses, and they could not believe the magnitude of sensations that overwhelmed them both, like a tidal wave and a lightning bolt hitting them at the same time. Then they collapsed into each other, the feelings ebbing away as the still panting pair realized what had just happened. Oh no. I've marked her without knowing. Oh shit. I've marked him without permission, and that's the only time they realized that they already had their mind link. Twine. That was about as far down memory lane as Alexia could go without totally breaking down. Since she needed her sanity to escape, she reeled in her thoughts to finally create a plan to escape her prison and molest her. Alexia, can you hear me? The distraught doctor swallowed her squeal of delight. Margay, oh my gosh, I can hear you. That means his drug is wearing off. What has happened? Where are we? It doesn't matter. We will be leaving this place soon. Can you merge with me? I'm not sure. I am still too weak. All right, let's not force it, but can you enhance my senses? That much is enough. I will do my best. But what will you be doing? Alexia looked around the room and saw her bra that Abner tore up in his eagerness to have his way with her. She reached out to grab the tattered lace underwear from the floor, then ripped out the underwire on one of them. Her breasts were so big she needed to constantly use a wired bra, and for once, she was thankful that she did, with what strength she had. And a little of her wolf's she managed to straighten the thin hard wire. She then did the same to the other one, within 5 minutes of tinkering at her door's lock. It finally gave a satisfying click. Thank the goddess that Abner prefers antiques for the locks in his suite. Margay, I don't hear anyone outside our door. Please confirm. I can't smell anyone either. But still, be careful, Alexia. Alex slowly opened the door and carefully looked around. No one was in the suite. She breathed a sigh of relief, then she silently tiptoed towards the suite's double doors. Alexia. Wait, there's something on that table. She almost ignored her wolf back then. She's partially thankful, and at the same time half regretful upon taking the time to check the large map that was spread out on a conference table near the end of the living room. Oh, dear goddess. No wonder he's so cocky about the challenge. He plans to use rogues, and there are a huge number of them placed strategically hereon. Then she felt a sharp but small prick at the back of her neck. Alexia's knees weakened almost instantaneously, and she fell backwards into the arms of her most despised abductor. As her senses started to dull and Margay's voice began to fade, she would hear the biting voice of the last person she ever wanted to see. Well, curiosity kills the cat, I always say. But in this case, it's a very scrumptious she-wolf that I find. And since you're so eager for our sessions together that you actually leave your room to search for me, I will willingly grant you respite. No, goddess. No, not again. Yes, let me just take you right here. Right now, Abner said with a villainous laugh as he started to unbutton his pants. The warriors rushed towards the enemy, some of them already in werewolf form. Vince and Aaron are still in human guise, and are both looking for Alexia's father within the havoc to try and negotiate while they fight. Around them, the smell of blood and the screaming started to rise as the song of the generations that had defended that land resounded in the air. Silvercrest warriors, known for their ability on the battlefield, started barreling through the enemy's lines. Those with their claws and fangs already out were swiping at enemies left and right. The fierce howling could be heard from miles away. Arnout Vandermeer let out his hate and rage in human form initially, but the moment he saw the younger alpha approaching, he merged with his ruthless, sadistic, and vicious wolf, Charnit, and launched himself towards V. The latter, who at the time was merging with his unusually big and powerful wolf. Roth went for a defensive stance. The exchange of words started, and V tried his best to avoid viciously harming the man. Instead, he tried to negotiate with him, using an ability that he always kept a secret, but found it to be useful and vital for desperate moments. He opened a psychic connection with Alex's father, since you can't mind-link wolves in other packs. It was easier for him to do so since they were both alphas and were also in their werewolf forms. Alpha Arnout. You know you're gonna get your warriors killed. Who convinced you to attack? The older warrior was too angry to realize what V had done just to speak with him, and growled his reply via the provided link. I wasn't convinced by anyone. I need and demand my daughter back, Alpha Vincent. I gave my word for her to be part of our pack's merger, and that disobedient, simple-minded, selfish female made all this mess to escape her responsibilities. I'm just fixing what she has done, but the worst consequences will be taken by your warriors due to your actions. Look around you. Besides that, your daughter is not here. What you're doing doesn't make any sense. Easily. The older Alpha could already see how many of his fighters have fallen, never to get up again. For a minute, he faltered, and then his heart hardened. If this is the destiny that the goddess has for me and my pack, then so be it. Besides, if I don't give Alexia to Abner, who will run Dark Forest? That woman knows nothing about leading. We're doomed either way. Arnout's ego and fury grew together, canceling out whatever reason he had left. It's not your problem how we do things in our pack, Alpha Vincent. She was taken by your Gamma, and that gives me the right to come and reclaim her. And if you are truly wise, I would take care of my own back first. That is what I would do if I was in your place. Arnout then howled. It was a high-pitched sound that made the warriors surrounding them turn towards the two alphas. And they attack V, all at the same time. Unfortunately, the Beta Aaron could not help his leader. He was dealing with his own struggles, since he was in the middle of his search for the Alpha of the Crescent Moon Pack, while avoiding fighting any of the other werewolves since he is still in human form. Not that he couldn't take them, but his focus is on his target, and he suddenly came face to face with a maniac that he needed to talk to, Abner de Jaeger. And he has not shifted either. Humph, overconfident bastard. This Abner. Well, look who's talking. Just makes my job easier. Oh, hello Abner, right? I've heard lots about you. You're the crazy man that's trying to take another wolf's mate as a wife, right? And by force too. TSK. You talk too much about things that are not your problem. But the fact that you've started a war against my pack, it kinda makes it my problem as their beta. It won't be anymore when I kill you right here, and right now. Dream on, bitch. Onyx. Aaron's wolf snarled from within his human. Wait, bro. What's that? Suddenly, Aaron saw something shine in his enemy's hand, as the sun's rays reflected on it. Oh wow, a needle, really? That's a loaded syringe, right? You seriously think that you can win, even with both your packs attacking us? You can't beat us. Man, look at yourself, so weak and such a loser that you need to cheat to maybe, if you're lucky, equal me. So bad, so sad, Aaron said, as he laughed with deep disdain into his foe's face. Abner was now doubly furious. It was not usual for him that his enemies noticed his little tricks. Still, he held the small metallic vials, needles out, and tried to punch Aaron with them. He got even angrier as he continued to miss, the fast beta dodging every blow effortlessly. I don't have to do this to you. We only came for Alexia. If you give her to me now, we will immediately take her and leave. No more complications, no more fighting. Just give me what is mine. She's not even interested in you. Why in the world are you making this such a big deal? Well, since you refuse to give her to me, and I will have to kill you, I'll tell you. She is part of my plan to take your stupid, happy and loaded pack. All of it would have been mine. First her people, then yours. Had she not found her mate at the last minute, I would be well on my way to completing that plan. Now, die. Abner shifted into his tall and thin light gray werewolf form, as he merged with his wolf Kieran, shredding his clothes in the process. Sorry, no, I don't intend to die today. I still haven't found my mate, you see. Aaron's clothes were ripped to bits as well, as Onyx and he merged into a dark brown and brawny werewolf. Meanwhile, Silvercrest warriors had come to help V, as it seemed that Arnout's command meant that they should attack him exclusively. As Vince's fighters surrounded him, the Dark Forest pack were now dying at the hands of the stronger and more numerous rivals. Just then, Em and Alexia arrived at the pack house. They immediately joined the fighting without even shifting. They quickly got to V, who was still trying to make his way to Alpha Vandermeer, as soon as Alexia and Em took their place by V's side. The Dark Forest warriors moved away, not wanting to fight her. V saw this as an opportunity for the father and daughter to speak. Everyone, let's lead our enemies away from Alpha Arnout and his daughter. Go, let's bring them all to Beta Aaron's area so we can help him fight off the Crescent Moon Pack as well. As V and his werewolves rushed off, the Silvercrest Alpha hoped for the best. Unfortunately, Alexia's father was not a forgiving man. Even if his daughter had done nothing wrong. Attack them! Alpha Vandermeer yelled to his warriors while pointing at Alex and M. Although some moved away from their Alpha's daughter and ran off chasing V and his troop, there were still a few left who tried to fight Alexia. They were easily taken care of by M, who still hasn't shifted, which was truly impressive for a human. But then, in his rage, the unimpressed father has now focused his attacks on Maheron. In an attempt to appease his would-be father-in-law, the Silvergate Gamma tried to talk to him while expertly dodging his attacks. Alpha, please, listen to me. I understand that you want the best for your pack, that you care for them. But I can assure you, we can fix the problems that you have now. We can look for new partnerships, make sure that your people are safe and have more than enough to live on. Only Alexia heard her father's roaring response inside her head. We don't need your pity. Since the older man had now gone into berserk mode, M can only assume that what he said only angered the older Alpha. Don't be such an idiot, M. That man will never like you. And the problem is not even you. Although that is reason enough, Lion. For the love of, bro. He doesn't care about his own daughter. What makes you think that he will prefer to negotiate? Let me merge with you. He's her father, Lion. What am I supposed to do? Kill him. I screwed up enough already. I can't do that to her. And for once, Lion was silent. Right there and then, M felt his head explode with pain as a solid kick to the side of his face sent him flying a few feet away from his adversary. He would not get up for quite a while. Maheron knew. The screaming woman blocked her father's way as he tried to rush towards the fallen. Gamma. Father, please. Stop fighting him. Stop fighting us, please. How dare you even talk to me? Arnaut bellowed through his pack's mind link. He now focused his attacks on his daughter, who was only using defensive moves. And even through his flurry of attacks with both vicious claws and superhuman strength, he was so surprised that she could still hold him off. For a moment he was perplexed that his own blood can do this despite being. No, she is just a she-wolf. Female, her mother wasn't even strong enough to endure childbirth. And she is her mother's daughter. Even in the middle of her showcasing her fighting skill, it seemed nothing she did would ever be enough for her misogynist father. Her body was slashed repeatedly, mercilessly, and she resisted bravely. But the one who helped in her birth, and the very one who raised her, saw nothing of this now. Alexia, leave the battlefield now. I order it, as your pack's leader and as your father. No. I caused all of this. The only place where I should be is here, fighting for what I believe in. If you were a boy, I might even be proud. But no, you had to be this. Failure, this selfish, soft daughter. He spat the last word as if it was a curse that's meant to be removed. I was only marrying you off so you can be useful for the pack. So, I'm useless just because I don't have a dick. Father, I have tried my whole life to satisfy your will, to even stay out of your way. I even agreed to get married to that monster for the sake of the pack and to please you. But I couldn't find it in my heart to do it, Father, especially since I found something. Someone I want to fight for. I'm ashamed of you for putting yourself first and not caring for the circumstances that you have caused by your disobedience. Well, then you must suffer the consequence of your crime. Alexia's human body was already bleeding profusely from the many gashes caused by her soul parent as punishment. But she didn't want to hurt him, the same way she didn't want him to hurt her mate. So she stood her ground. Alex, let me fight with you. I promise I won't kill him, but let me at least scare him. He doesn't even deserve to call you daughter. No, Margay, please, stay calm. I know how to handle him. You're hurt, badly. How is that supposed to be called handling, Alex? And while Alexia was distracted talking with her wolf, her father, still far from satisfied, raised his claw and let it fall on the already mangled body of who was still the blood of his blood. Just at that moment, Maheron, who had already managed to gain his second wind, pushed Alex aside and took the full blow of the hit for her. He yelled loudly in extreme pain but did not fall. It took all his strength to face the man who had wounded him. I'm not letting you mistreat my mate anymore, he growled at Arnaut, still standing with an aggressive pose. Just because she's not the son you wanted doesn't give you the right to treat her the way you are now doing. As it is, you should be extremely proud of her for pursuing being the best she can be without your support. If anything, she should be rejecting you. Pain spread throughout his entire body, but he ignored this, as he poured out his heartfelt thoughts to a vicious and angry foe, who was supposed to a loving and supporting father to his mate. He was losing blood, and fast. Leon's voice in his head was fading. and the world around him started to blur. Yet, he stood there, between the woman who was now his reason to sacrifice his life, and the father who he sadly could see a part of himself. Maharan, what are you trying to do? Are you crazy? Alexia choked on her words as she rushed to him and held him close, avoiding his gaping chest wounds. He smirked at her, gasping for breath as he tried to speak. You could say that. People always do crazy things when they're in love. This mate thing is like losing your mind. Nothing is logical or rational anymore. But no regrets. As the two spoke, the infuriated alpha in front of them took this moment to once again raise his arm, claws fully extended, and let it fall with full force. No. Alexia's scream resonated over the howling and the yelling. Margay, Maine, RGE. As she shifted, Alexia pulled her mate away from her father's reach, while swiftly dodging his attempts to do more harm to her. Maharan landed safely a few feet from the fighting duo while she jumped back. The she-wolf landed a short distance away, still facing her alpha, left leg slightly bent and right stretched out behind her, elbows tight against her torso, as her father rushed towards her with the swiftest of movements. All in the flash of a single second. She launched herself towards him, then raised her sharp claws a moment before she connected, piercing her father's neck like a sword. He was killed instantly, immediately. All of her pack's warriors felt a strong shift within them. It only took them a few seconds to completely freeze and stop fighting. They all looked at her. Their new alpha, but her attention was on her fallen parent and pack leader. All you feared, my dear father, by your own hand, has now become reality, she murmured to herself. As she knelt before the lifeless corpse of the alpha she has now replaced, blood ran from her arms, her body, and down her fingers. Her flowing tears drew white lines over the crimson and dirt on her face, while she hugged the man who bore her. Her mate got up and pulled her from the dead body that she was still holding and hugged her tightly. She found herself sobbing into his wounds as her ruby-red blood mixed with his. It seemed like a sign that they are meant to share each other's lives together. And it was a very different, unique and memorable way to celebrate their first Valentine's Day together, as mates. Now, it was Abner's scream that was heard over the fading sounds of the battlefield. Retreat, Crescent Moon, retreat. Silvercrest warriors still followed their escaping enemies, even taking a few more down, just to make sure that their rivals would remember this battle. And it seemed, with the revived challenge in place, that they truly have. It was a good and fair question. The elders looked at her approvingly and then back at the still grinning Abner. Well, I could show you pictures, but I don't think your feminine sensitivity would be happy with that. Oh, I assure you, her feminine sensitivity is tougher than many of our supposed masculinities. Abner V countered coldly, with an unreadable expression. Or you could call Alex right now instead. May we talk to her, if she is there willingly? I'm sure she won't have a problem answering the phone. I'm afraid she is sleeping, Alpha Vincent. You see, we're very active since she got back to my pack house. She was pretty tired when I left our room. What? Okay, Seal. Calm down. It won't do your mate any good if you lose your cool. So, you're saying that there is no way to contact her now and confirm that what you say is true? The tall and blonde Stephen inquired with a very deep voice and incredulous tone. His suspicious gaze and query were directed to the smiling Abner. I have to apologize for that, but I wouldn't like to pester my bride-to-be. We're planning to get married as soon as the challenge is over. 3 days from now, to be exact. Valentine's Day. Which is Em and Alex's special day. And married, she's already married to, son of a, at least I'm glad that Em is not hearing what this animal is saying right now. Seal thought. So Abner, we see that you have made arrangements to solve the situation. By law, if you win, you get it all. The Silvercrest territory, the Vincent's alpha title, and the Gamma's mate. Is that correct? Yes, Elder. Alpha Vincent Rigel. Is this what you're agreeing to, as well? With a small change, Elder Damien. Which is? That Silvercrest Gamma Maharan Dinar will fight in my stead. A moment of thick, tense silence reigned in the room. Is he anywhere near here? He is, Elder Jenna. Right outside the door. Then, can we let him in? Of course, Elder Mello. I will mind-link him so he enters the room immediately. It took only a matter of seconds for Maharan to appear. He slightly bowed his head as he spoke. Good evening, Elders Alphas Luna. Please, Gamma, take a seat. Thank you, Elder Jenna. Even from the door, Maharan's wolf was cursing and growling up a storm in his head. Damn it. I can smell our mate on him. Lion, I beg you, please don't make it even more difficult for me. For us, Maharan, He smells like our mate. And I know it wasn't willingly. I know, Lion. I know now we focus on the meeting, the fight, and nothing else. A broken Gamma set aside that small exchange in his head. While his exterior showed no emotions, a skill that he's infamous for. A part of him was fuming in rage and drowning in grief. Meanwhile, his human side, who could not stand life without the mate that he once was so close to rejecting, was keeping himself cool and collected with a little help from one of Bryn's special creations. It was the same one he had requested and is now testing. So far, it's working. You both understand that the fight might be to death, and you're risking to lose everything, correct, Alpha Vince? Yes, we do. I also understand that my Gamma has the right, more than anyone else, to fight for his mate since he called out Abner with an earlier challenge for Alexia 3 years ago. Also, I trust him to be fully able to go through with this. Vince paused to look at Abner in the eye. And he will surely win. M immediately spoke out as soon as V paused. If you don't mind me adding, I believe that my wife should be returned to me at the earliest. There is no reason for her to be in their territory against her will. Oh, my dear Mahi, Abner said condescendingly, using his old rival's known pet peeve. You missed that part of our talk. She went with me to our pack house willingly. She's staying in my room willingly, and she gives herself to me. Many times, daily, very, very willingly. And all because she wants me. The whole room held their breath, as they were sure that the Gamma will now shift right there and then to kill his wife's abductor. I would like to hear it from her, if you don't mind, was the lawyer's smooth and toneless reply, now causing his listeners to almost gasp audibly at his amazing self-control. This feat would eventually be told to many in the future, increasing his reputation in emotional restraint 100-fold. We see it just fair, Abner. Make the call, Mello commanded. Very well. But I can assure you, she was so pleased and tired when I left her that I don't think she is fully awake yet. Abner brought out his phone and showed the screen to confirm that it is indeed Alexia's number that he's calling. M nodded to everyone to confirm that it is his mate's. Then, the Crescent Moon Alpha pressed dial. The whole room was waiting for a feminine voice to answer the call that Abner was making right then and there. At first, it was hardly believable that he would risk calling his hostage. But when the line didn't answer, they figured out that he had tricked them once again. Abner used Alexia's number, so it didn't matter how many times he called her. He was sure there would be no answer, since her phone was locked up in his sweet secret safe. You see, too tired to answer, he stated with finality, his cynical smile twisting his audience's stomachs. The elders knew, even before the start of the meeting, that there was something off with his request. And despite them knowing, they didn't have much proof to counter the lying Alpha's allegations. Of course, the Silvercrest Gamma will still insist on his demands, and everyone expected that. She is my mate and was marked by me. And I have her mark as well. If she can't tell me that she is where she wants to be, then she has to be returned to me. As she is mine, whether you like it or not, Abner. Well, of course, Mahi. I will return her to you, safe and sound, the moment you win the challenge. That bastard. He's openly lying, M to our faces. I know he is. Lion, but we can't do much. For now, we just try to get as much information as we can. He is too overconfident. And overconfidence always, with no exception, will cause one to lose. Gamma, you know Wolf Law. You're a lawyer. We can't make him give her back while she's in his territory. But if you win the challenge, you will be in all the right to go in there and take your mate, even by force. It doesn't matter whatever he decides to do. And with regards to our law, it is very clear that she is your mate, Jenna said, still slightly nauseous after the exchange she just heard. I know the law as well, and I know that if I win, I'm not only getting the wife I was arranged to keep 3 years ago, but a new one too, he said, running his eyes up and down Seal's body once again. Disgust started to spread to those who were present. V. What is wrong with you? Did you lose your voice? Are you deaf? Did you just die and didn't tell me? Roth. It's his intention to do this. He's having fun, and if we as much as blink angrily at him, he wins. Abner, I knew your parents, they were good people. They left too soon, and you had plenty to take care of from a young age, but that is werewolf life. We do that and live by that. What is it that you want to get from all this circus? You know the law, and you know you're breaking it, even if we're bound by the same law when it comes to your territory and your pack. We will not allow you to do whatever you please. I don't know what you're talking about, Stephen. Abner chuckled. I believe I talk on behalf of the 4 of us as elders. We will be in the challenge, along with other willing elders, and we will make sure that the law is fulfilled after the result. We will not allow cheating and will not allow running away. You have agreed to surrender your title and Alexia to Silvercrest if you're defeated, and you will have to abide by your own word, Elder Mello snapped, trying to keep his emotions under control after all that they've seen. Vince, is this challenge to death? Elder Stephen asked. It is until unconscious, with a choice to kill, was Via's response. And the date? Asked Elder Jenna. We want to submit for approval the 12th of February, Vince said. Tomorrow? Abner was taken by surprise. The elders looked at each other for a moment and nodded. We agree on the date. The challenge will be tomorrow, first thing in the morning on Silvercrest grounds. No objections, Abner, Damien firmly stated. I actually think it's perfect. That way I can get a better view of everything that I'll be owning after I win. Another uncomfortable silence. If there is nothing else to discuss, we have other commitments to attend, Mello said with finality. Abner, you have anything to add? Vince asked. Nothing to you, but to your beautiful mate. Yes, Elena, I'll be waiting for the moment in which I can take you. You'll leave your mate and come to me with your own feet. I know that. V held in the growl that has been building within his chest, but he can no longer hold back his thoughts. She is not part of the pack, Abner. And I have not marked her, so don't even go there. The future Luna of Silvercrest felt a warm thrill pass through her as she heard her mate go protective on her. She smiled at Vince as she felt his arm go around her waist. Don't be so sure of yourself, Alpha Abner. You might be surprised, she countered with a sly smile. The elders glanced at each other with troubled looks. Unable to do anything else at the moment, they got up from their seats and prepared to leave, and so did Abner, who approached the Silvercrest people. With a smile on his face and a hand extended, V took his hand and looked him in the eye. We'll see you at the challenge, Abner. I can barely wait, Alpha. Damien, Mello, Stephen, and Jenna, it was nice to see you again, Abner stated as he shook hands with the elders, while obviously ignoring Maharon and dramatically opened the door, then exited the room. Please excuse me a moment, M mumbled, then left the crowd in a rush, trying hard not to show his eagerness at what he was about to do. After stepping out into the meeting room's balcony, it took him only a few seconds to reach her. Alexia, are you awake? Maharon, beloved, I miss you so much. In his mind, the grieving Gamma was hating the fact there was no way to record a mind-link conversation and use it as evidence. If only he can, then the meeting with the elders could have ended differently. I miss you too, Alex. I'm just glad I can hear you. We can talk for a moment since that asshole has just left the meeting room, making an effort to be hated by everyone. But the elders approve that we have the challenge tomorrow. Wife, it's just a few more hours, and I promise to take you out of that place. By my life, I swear it. He could feel her crying quietly, in the way she usually did, so he wouldn't notice that she is. And his heart broke even more but didn't acknowledge it. What for? It would hurt her even more to know the hell he's going through. Besides, he felt he deserved this punishment for all the wrongs he had done to her in the past. But not her. She doesn't deserve all this. Not any of this. I know you will win, husband. I'm sure you'll show him how good you are in a fight. And I need to tell you something. He intends to cheat again, and not just with his serums this time. What the hell? I knew he was too confident a while ago, that fucking bastard. I'll make him pay. Please, husband, pay attention. He might come back any moment. He intends to use rogue wolves. There will be a great number of them with strong armor, technological enhancements, and even weaponry. While the challenge is happening, they will attack the pack house, like Abner and my father did before. Maharon felt his heart twist painfully again. Their mind-link conversation should be filled with words of love, support, and assurance, just so he can comfort and strengthen her in her darkest hour. But here she was, ignoring her own needs and focusing on helping him and the pack. Thank you, Alexia. You are such a wonder, dear wife. Oh, goddess, I can't imagine my life without you. Maharon, I feel the same way, but please listen. He has stronger drugs now, and Wait. He's here. That was the last he heard from her that day. Back inside the room, the meeting was wrapping up. Vincent, we wish you the best and hope your Gamma wins that challenge. We're bound by the law, but we're not blind, Mello said. Thank you all. We'll see you tomorrow morning. And Miss Seal, I have to say, it was a real pleasure to meet you. You're all we thought you'd be, being a mate of someone as peculiar and special as Alpha Vince, Elder Jenna said in a slightly mysterious tone. Jenna, I don't think this is the right moment to introduce my mate to our people's legends, V said, trying to shift the conversation. Of course not. But I hope I can see you another time soon, Elena, maybe under more relaxed circumstances. It will be my pleasure, Elder Jenna. You can call me Jenna, no worries. Visit us for tea someday. Alpha Vince knows where to find us. I will. Thank you, Jenna. And with that, the elders left the room. And only Myron, Vince, and a very curious Seal were left standing there. Alpha, what was all that? I thought Abner was typically collected and serious. Myron remarked as he placed his laptop inside his high-end backpack. He is when he wants to be. He knows what he's done and was not looking for approval. He came here to send a message, and clearly, it was to M. Talking about M, he's still somewhere in here. I think we should let him know that we're leaving, suggested Seal. Meanwhile, the Gamma remained in the spacious white balcony, silently looking away towards the night in the city, thinking that somewhere out there, his mate was enduring torture, in silence, just so he wasn't worried. There was no option for him. He must win, or die trying. There was no life, no way of truly living, without his mate. I still have so much to make up for. Lion, I know. They are strong, Alexia and Margay, and we will have them back with us soon. M, just a few more hours. I know. A very difficult set of hours. It already feels like forever. Everything was ready now. From the Silvercrest spot on the battlefield, Maharan saw her walking regally beside Abner, head held high, hands to her side, stride as sensuous as ever. Her long, thick, and tousled dark mane perfectly framed her square, jawed and serious face, making his mate look like a strong, determined Amazon surrounded by her male underlings. The only evidence of her brokenness was her puffy eyes, and the darkened, swollen skin underneath them. He also knew that underneath her black dress suit, the same one she wore the day she disappeared from work, he would be seeing more swelling and darkened patches all over her body. His assessment was all based on Myron's recent report to him, and the aches and pains that she tried so hard to hide from him during their linked conversations. Plus, the fact that she was even blanking out the visuals of their link, and he's left with just a white screen when they talked, as if she was editing out images he didn't want to see. Correction, what she didn't want me to see. But there was one image that she managed to send him. His photographic memory allowed him to link and discuss it with his alpha before they left the meeting room's balcony the previous day. Maharan knew it was what they needed to assure them of success. He tried to mind link with her as soon as they were seated at the opposite side of the arena. Ironically, that spot was the very place where she and her father had their final battle. My beloved wife, wait for me, you will be with me soon. No response. M felt that she was trying to reach him through their mate connection, but he couldn't hear her. Of course, he knew why, and he could feel his wolf and himself growling internally out of sheer fury. She's affected by the new drugs she mentioned. That's for sure, M. Quite a feat, to block out the link but not affect you physically. I bet she can't even change to werewolf form. Margay, my love, please be alright. It's a show of power. Wolf also, his way of trying to derail our focus. Well, if anything, he's created more reason for us to end all this in a way he'll truly be sorry for. Show of power. He'll know exactly what show of power means when I get my fangs and claws on him. Damn you, Kieran. You will pay dearly for this. Yes, they will. Pai. The alpha of the Crescent Moon Pack walked towards the covered area at the edge of the open, mile-wide area located a few meters away from the Silvercrest pack house. As his entourage of warriors and his doped-up kidnapped victim found their seats, Abner took a deep breath of the cool fresh air coming from the outer periphery lined by the nearby forest. Ah, such a wonderful acquisition. This all will be once I win, dearest wife. He snickered greedily as he sat right beside her. Not that he really cared about sitting with her, but it was the biggest chair and right smack dab in the center too. Don't you dare call me that. Even if you have tried to own me by ravaging my body, you will never have my mind and you'll never touch my heart. PFFE, doesn't matter. I will still have you with me, and I will assure you now that your precious Gamma will die. So reject it or not, you will still be mine. Dream on, she sneered. As Abner raised his arm to hit the rebellious female beside him, his wolf hissed into his mind. Abner. The elders are looking your way. Upon hearing his wolf, the sadistic alpha looked up and around, finally seeing the covered area which housed the long bleacher-type seats of the audience. Seated there were the same four heads that he had met with in V's meeting room back in the city, along with the rest of the absent elders, other VVIPs, and quite a number of authorities and personalities of the different packs of the region, and most of them were now gazing at his little covered spot with very suspicious looks. Desist. You can hit her as much as you want if you win. No, Kieran, when we win. A wicked smile slowly spread on Abner's face, while his eyes glittered and contained fury at being held back from what he originally wanted to do. He then let his hand fall gently on Alexia's shiny raven hair and started to stroke it. The Gamma's mate jerked her head away from his touch, and he let out a low growl of warning. Alexia didn't care at this point what he did. She truly believed her husband could and will defeat this monster. And if Abner did manage to cheat his way to killing the owner of her heart, she planned to kill this maniac herself by tearing out his own heart. And she's sure that she can do it. Eventually. Ironic but apt. And yet, husband, I believe in you. I know you will win. I'm holding you to your promise to win. So, is everybody in position? Murmured Beta, to the part-time spy beside him. Yes, everyone is ready, Raquel stated, as she tossed her dark brown shoulder-length hair aside. What about your team, Myron? Aaron asked, Vess' full-time personal assistant who happened to be Raquel's mate. Waiting for our signal, Beta. The minute Elder Stephen raises his hand, and we start walking to the middle of the field. Go to your warriors and begin your operation. We're counting on you. We won't let you down, Beta assured Myron. Meanwhile, Bren was handing the Gamma a small pouch filled with plastic vials. Just what the the lawyer, ordered. A small spark of humor lit up Maharan's eyes for a moment, but disappeared as soon as he nodded his thanks. He took one vial, tore the cap off with his teeth, and consumed the amber-colored liquid in one swallow. M closed his eyes as he felt the mixture burn its way down his throat. I think it's working, Brenner. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, boss. We'll only find out if it really works until later. And take 3 more just in case. V then walked up to the 2 suited men and grimly nodded. It's time. Let's go. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Both alphas were escorted by their gammas and betas to the middle of the arena, which was basically the open area along with the forested area of the massive and extensive Silvercrest property. As mentioned earlier, this is the very same place where the battle happened years before, and most of the guest wolves involved in that conflict could not help but view personal flashbacks of that memorable, yet traumatic event. V was no exception. As he walked tall and with authority in front of his beta and gamma, the 3 important, impressive, and imposing trio confidently moved towards their challenger, stopping at the very center of the wide area. Once Elder Stephen has given his speech and signal to begin the battle, Alpha V will go back to his PAX-covered area to watch his close friend M fight on his behalf. Stephen, the Elder, has now reached the group in the middle of the arena and has now begun his speech. Today, we have one of the most sacred traditions of the werewolf packs. The Alpha Challenge, one that was agreed upon by the Council of Elders with the agreement of both the Crescent Moon and the Silvercrest pack. The fight will end until one of the contenders loses consciousness, and the one standing can choose to let him live or kill him. Sakakan. M recognized Gamma Dante, who was standing behind Abner, and honored him with a small nod. Dante returned the action respectfully. If any of the contenders break the rules, use any weapon of any kind, he will instantly lose. If anyone assists the contenders in any way through a previous arrangement, the one assisted will also lose by default. This fight will last however long they can keep fighting, or until a winner is announced. At this point, Abner smirked at V, who only responded with a cold stare. The arrogant abuser looked at M and saw his rival looking at Alexia. He instantly lost his grin as he saw the she-wolf smile back at the Silvercrest Gamma. Following the wolf law, the victor will take the title of Alpha from the defeated one, along with their pack, territory, and businesses associated with it. As an additional request, this fight will define who will be the partner of Alexia van der Meer, maid of Gamma Heron Dinar. This is based on an agreement made between her father, and the Crescent Moon Pack Alpha. Abner de Jaeger. Today's challenger, before they found out that they were mates. Aaron was staring at Abner's beta, who was obviously still in his teens and seemed fresh out of beta training. Surprisingly, the kid was looking puzzled and worried, and his expression was so out of place in their present setting. Due to this irregular circumstance, the Gamma of the Silvercrest Pack, Maheron Dinar, will represent his alpha in this challenge. Gentlemen, as soon as you are alone in the arena, you may begin. As Elder Stephen walked away, so did V, Aaron, and Abner's beta and Gamma. M and Abner were ready to begin. Myron, the Gamma female's information is on point. We have the enemy in sight and are heavily armed. Good, we expected that. Let's get this party started. The boyish-looking but well-toned paw snarled as he merged with his wolf, Basil. His werewolf form had dark gray fur, and the same dark brown eyes as his wolf and his human forms. Through his mind link, he felt the warriors assigned to him, as they all started changing to their ultimate fighting forms. And though he was no warrior, he was a very impressive tactician. Plus, his speed and agility made him a very hard target to hit. Meanwhile, his beloved mate was a wonderful soldier, always obediently following orders. Of course, they would always change roles in the bedroom. We're going in. Okay. We're already inside. Leave some for us. Wifey, that's an order. Ha ha ha. It's 20-1 by my count. You'll get plenty to play with, for sure, hubby. 才百川. Meanwhile, the Gamma and the visiting Alpha, as if in agreement, both started the challenge in their human forms. They began with the usual hand-to-hand combat, and even then, you could feel the viciousness and fury being exchanged by the two men. Both had obviously been well-trained, and their past experiences and present expertise could be seen in their every move and counter. So, your mate, huh, Mahi and her pack? Are you happy with what you took from me? Gritted the Alpha, now sporting a bruised and cut cheek. I took nothing. All of it is mine. And hers. Since we were born, M said tonelessly, evading a kick to his face and landing 2 solid punches on Abner's chest. Gasping from the hits, the Crescent Moon leader managed to find his footing, then jumped up into the air aiming a kick at M's head while screaming furiously. She was going to be married to me. M dodged the kick and yelled back. Still in this strange monotone, to someone who didn't love her. Wow, it's really working. Bren's mix is helping me keep my cool. Yes, as long as we don't get angry, we are sure to win this. Just a little more. Abner rushed at Maharan and aimed a number of punches at his opponent's throat. What do you know about love? Aren't you famous as the cold, calculated, and controlled Gamma of the Silvercrest pack? And what do you know about love too? You, who have orgies, even share partners because you're not content in having just one. M growled at his opponent as he caught the angry Alpha's hand and wrist with 2 hands. He then used the Yushiro Goshi, which was the same move he had utilized on his mate when they first met. Abner gasped, then cried out in pain as he found himself slammed down to the ground. Myron mind-linked V right in the middle of the Silvercrest Gamma's genius move. The cheers of his pack members were so loud it almost drowned out Myron's update. Sir, the rogues have all been neutralized, and some are not even rogues but are Crescent Moon warriors. Seal then noticed the tightening of Vince's hand on hers, and the hardening of her mate's jawline and lips. He's furious. I hope it's not because of a complication to the plan. By now, Seal could already tell if her mate was talking to someone in his head. She sighed in relief this time since he got so excited with the news. He received that V responded aloud. Good job, Myron. Now bring in one of them to the challenge arena. I need them to yell out to the high heavens their admission in front of the elders. They will be our plan B. Asterisk. Maharan, being more muscular and taller than Abner, had the advantage of strength, reach, and accuracy. Abner, who was slimmer and shorter, used more speed, agility, and evasion. However, it seemed the maniacal Alpha's skills were not helping him. When M easily pulled up the asshole Alpha off the ground, he proceeded to land a flurry of heavy hits on his enemy's torso with his other hand, all in strategic spots. His combined move ended with M tossing his enemy up in the air, then executing a perfectly timed AX kick. Abner ended with his face on the ground with a bleeding gash on his head. It started to bleed profusely. Then he raised his face, screaming furiously. Then, he shifted to his werewolf form. He crouched on all fours and launched himself towards his opponent. M smoothly sidestepped to avoid his crazed enemy's attack. Lion. Merge. Damn. Took you long enough. Snarls, growls, roars, and howls now echoed all throughout the mountainside. As the 2 ferocious fanged and furred fighters let loose on each other, the audience went berserk, cheering their chosen champions wildly. Now it was harder to follow the fight, since both were a whole lot swifter and more dangerous as werewolves. Thing was, Maharan is a strategist, and it's fairly easy to analyze your foe once you fought with them long enough, or even allow yourself to get hit just so you can assess your rival's strength, speed, and weak spots. He let Abner land several hits to his brown-black werewolf form, just to find an opening in his foe's fighting style. M found it on the light gray, werewolf's 3rd set of attacks, and he created a counter instantaneously. Slash upwards. Block. Rush into his torso. Wait for him to defend, then bite into his elbow. Hard. Abner's dismembered arm flew through the air and bounced on the ground, and several long needles, attached to a leather strap and with metal syringes at the end, clattered into the middle of the arena, in full view of everyone watching. A unified gasp filled the air while Abner howled in pain, slowly shifting back to his human form, naked and with one arm missing. Maharan shifted to human form as well, bloody and nude, but still magnificent, then picked up the makeshift chemical-filled gadget in his hand. M slowly approached the bleeding Alpha as the latter tried to stop the rush of blood from his open wound by hugging his arm to his chest. You're not allowed any weapons during a challenge, Alpha Abner, and you have used this on me right now, several times. During the last moments of our fight, Abner was so livid with anger and pain that his eyes were now slits. I hit you with those many times. How come you didn't fall? You were supposed to weaken and lose consciousness. Why didn't you? And the maniac wasn't able to hear M's reply anymore. Nor did he see V dragging one of the Crescent Moon warriors to the elders' seats a few minutes later. After a few hours, Abner would wake up in a heavily guarded room inside a pack hospital. He would have a bandaged and amputated arm, silver chains and cuffs on all his extremities, his neck included. 2 days later, he would be executed. Ironically, it was on the same day he planned to celebrate his upcoming marriage with a woman that was never his, Valentine's Day. He heard his phone buzzing on the bedside table. Carefully, he reached out towards his vibrating mobile and checked the screen. Should I answer or not, Lion? Looks like someone is missing you. Like, heck, damn, it's just been a day. Maharan chuckled. The sound a low rumbling in his chest as he answered the call. Yes, happy anniversary, and happy Valentine's, Maharan. Now, when do you plan to get your ass back here? M could no longer hold back his laughter at the sound of his Alpha's slightly tense voice. I don't know. It really all depends on someone who's very important to me. On cue, he felt the naked woman beside him suddenly hugging his nude body tighter. He couldn't help but stare at the sparkling diamond and ruby ring on his beautiful mate's finger. M's small smile had become wider at the memory connected to that very gift. Maharan, Alexia. At the back of his mind then, they were probably looking pretty cheesy since they did run into each other's arms. Ignoring their cheering friends and celebrating pack. Think Rocky as he was screaming, Adrian in the movie's second installment. Or the last scene in Pretty Woman when the male protagonist scrambles up the fire escape to get to his lady love. Except M was totally naked, bruised, and bloody, and there were no stairs to climb. They both rushed towards each other, screaming each other's name, with deep passionate love on their faces. They collided like stars, his arms catching her in mid-leap, her curvy legs hugging his slender waist, as her arms did the same to his broad shoulders. Their lips met, and their tears mixed, and it seemed that they would not let go of each other at all. I saw the needles hit you over and over when you shifted. She mumbled into his mouth. Yes, wife, you did. But I drank a special concoction that Brenner brewed to counter the effects of Abner's potions. That's why I was protected from his drug's effects. He replied as his lips were still pressed to hers. M then felt a large hand on his shoulder, its grasp a little more firm than the usual. The preoccupied and distracted Gamma forced himself to tear his mouth away from the sweet kisses of his one true love. Then looked over his shoulder. I believe you asked me to arrange this after the elders' meeting yesterday. Oh goddess, yes. I almost forgot. Thank you, Alpha. He mumbled to V. He looked back at Alexia's violeted blue eyes that were even more swollen now, but with tears of joy this time. I need to put you down, beloved. Don't worry. It's for a good reason. As his pouting mate reluctantly slid down from his hold, V then gave him the small gift that he asked his Alpha to keep for him after he had purchased it. He nodded a small thanks to his friend and leader, then he looked down at the woman in front of him. Then he knelt in front of her. The small black velvet box was now visible as the still naked and dirty man offered it to Alexia with slightly cupped fingers. M kept his gaze on her face, watching as her eyes started to shine with shock, amazement, excitement. M. Heron, my love. We've marked each other. This isn't necessary. It is for me. He opened the box with his other hand at just the right angle, so she would see the ring before he did. He heard her gasp, then watched with overflowing love as her eyes started to well up again. Beloved, Alexia, will you marry me? Not just because we are mates. Not just because of marks. He took the ring out of the box and held it out to her as she started to sob. But because I really and truly love you. Earth to a tie. Maharan Dinar, your location, please. It took a second or two before M realized he had left his Alpha hanging. Not that it bothered him that much. Sorry, V. I know you won't be calling me if this wasn't important, but I really am not sure if I can do any work in the middle of a honeymoon/3-year anniversary. I know, but M, these are pack merger arrangements. You're the pack expert on these things. Our lawyer, remember. I realize that Abner showing up days before your anniversary is really bad timing, but we now own everything in the Crescent Moon. So please, Just check your email and see which of those you can help me deal with while you're with Alexia. That's all I ask. Maharan picked up the tension and tiredness in his alpha's voice and empathized with him. After all, he was also a workaholic, and going back home to an overflowing to-do list may not be a good start for his now very legal marriage. All right, V. Just send me everything you need me to look at, and I'll give my recommendations and advice for each one. Just don't demand too much from me while we're still on vacation, please. Yes, I'll have Myron and Seal send you the most urgent contracts, documents, and such within the hour. Meanwhile, feel free to check what I sent you already. Oh, goddess, I'm so relieved. Thank you, bro. I owe you this one. No, I'm actually a very gullible gamma. Later, Alpha, and regards to everyone there in Silvercrest Enterprise. Later, M. Enjoy. M smiled knowingly at his Alpha's joke, and then ended the call. He looked towards the laptop that was on an ornate oak executive desk, at one end of the first-class hotel room that he's reserved for their special celebration. He would have preferred it if Bren had gotten them a suite. But it's Valentine's Day. We're still lucky. We got this room. Considering that Tagaytay, Philippines is a very popular tourist spot, Maharan had already sat up in bed when a soft, smooth hand grabbed his arm and pulled it down with a strength that surprised him. I heard you talking to V. Are you really going to work while we are on our honeymoon, attorney? Guilty as charged. But I don't know how to go around this, beloved. With the packs being merged and all, Alexia stared at the dejected face of the man she just married in a human ceremony the day before, trying hard to hide her amusement. Right now, she didn't know whether to continue acting angry or just let him off the hook by laughing at his not-so-usual facial expression. She chose to negotiate. Instead, okay, what if I allow you only a few hours, like 4, while we are on this holiday? Then the rest of the day can be spent pleasing your very hungry mate. M perked up at the suggestion, his signature small smile back on his handsome face. That sounds like a wonderful offer. Wife. Where do I sign? Alexia almost laughed aloud as she felt his lengthy hardness flick against her smooth, curvy thigh as he said his last sentence, with a passionate flicker in his brown golden eyes. Right here, my love. Maharan's lusty look was immediately replaced by a puzzled one as Alex pushed down the covers to expose her desirable and fully naked body. She was now patting the lower part of her abdomen, just above her soft dark bush. Right there. Why there? I want your ear here. Please. M allowed his smiling mate to pull his head towards the spot she pointed out. He placed his ear against that spot, her silky skin nestling his cheeks, the morning stubble slightly tickling her, and as he listened to whatever it was he's supposed to hear, he felt movement underneath it. He jerked his head up to look into his wife's widely smiling face. Wait. Something moved inside her, and was that a heartbeat? The realization hit him like warm water going down his chest. Beloved, you're pregnant? I was wondering if you approve. M silenced Alex with a joyous kiss, since he had no words to equal what he was feeling, which was fine, since she herself wished to show her love to him more than just telling him. So, we leave the Gamma female, her mate, and their unborn child to enjoy their holiday, and we hope that you have enjoyed it too, dear reader. Until we meet again at our Silvercrest Pack House. Happy Valentine's Day.